Welcome to a new video for F3 scoring. In this video, I will show you how to create a competition and which are the necessary parts to be created that you can run a competition and allow users or pilots to register for the competition. First step is you go to competition preparation. You select the menu item competitions. Then you get a list of the already created competitions. Now you press the button create. Then you fill out the name for the competition. So you also can define an email address for this competition. I will choose my email address. The reason behind is if you get a registration for this competition, the email will be sent to this email address. Then you have to create the dates for the competition. I will use the 6th and the 7th of May for this competition. If you have an international competition number, you can fill it out. That's always information that will be printed out, for example, on certificates or on the results lists. Then you can define the club. I use the first model helicopter club in Austria. I can also define a club address, but that I will not use. A competition web page that will be displayed as a link on the live view. Then you can set the competition active. Active means that the competition will be displayed in the live competition view. That's only necessary if you want or the competition is currently running. So this option you have to activate, for example, on the day before the competition or when you create the starting order and you will display the live view. That enables only a link on the main page, so you can always access the live view if this link is not active. Where the competition will be held, so details about the competition field. Registration start and end is a necessary date, so from which date starting to which date ending the registration will be possible. So I use the 1st of April until, for example, the 16th of April. If I have an external registration, for example, your local NAC or European Championship or something else, will not allow a direct registration. That's only allowed to download a registration form that must be filled out by the NAC or someone else. And then you can use the external link. Then I go to create. So now the competition is created. The competition is after you created it, not automatically activated because you can, for example, create a lot of competitions in after, and then activate one to edit the details. I will activate this competition. Now I'm here in the dashboard. The dashboard shows me currently no available options because on the competitors is empty, the classes is empty, no judges, no staff, no flight lines are created for this competition. So what's the next step? The next step is we go back to the menu competitions. and we will show how which options are available for a competition. We can edit the information of the competition. Here's also a shortcut here in the menu on the dashboard. You have here three icons. The first is to edit the competition. You can switch to a live view, and you can download an export of the competition data. That's a JSON file, so you have someone use this for example that you have the current state of the database. The system is running on an Azure system, so if the disaster recovery function is normally not necessary, so we hope for the future that it will always run stable and no issues are from the availability are present. So I go back to the competitions list. Then I will show which informations we have here in the menu for a competition. In each line of a you have always on the right side a menu icon, and if you press it, you see a lot of functions, especially for this record. So if you want to edit the first competition, you have to press the icon in the line of the first competition. The cookie is for this function not necessary and is not defining the record. So here I have the functionality to upload a picture or a picture too. The difference is the uploaded picture will be displayed on the left side and the picture 2 on the right side. It's really easy. You also can update the bulletin. The bulletin will be displayed on the right side of the download of the links. For example, I can open a second tab with the main page, and when I show here, I have a lot of competition where the registration is possible. And for example, here you see the Trainingstage in Austria. Here you can show which registrations are already have been sent to the system, and here I have a link for the bulletin. I also can use, for example, the list of registrations, and on the list of registrations I also can download the bulletin. It's a normal link. Normally you should upload a PDF for this, and if you have updated informations, you have only to upload the new file, and it's not necessary to delete some informations. The upload always overwrites the last version. So here you have, for example, the upload screen. You select a file from your computer. You can also use drag and drop, and then press the button upload bulletin, and that's it. Then the new bulletin is uploaded. It might be possible that the uploaded bulletin will be cached, because we have a 30 minutes cache policy for PDFs and images. So you have to use the Control F5 button to reload the page of your browser. Then you will get then an updated file. You can show the details of the competition, but it means only the record details. You can delete the competition because there's an urgent information for the delete function. The delete function only deletes the record of the competition. The database behind is an relational database. That means that you have dependencies between the records. So if you create a competition, you create a class, you create an attendee, you create a schedule, you create a round, you create detail records. So it is not possible to delete the competition if there are dependency records still present. So if you have to delete the competition, please contact us. We have functionalities to remove a competition or to remove, for example, only a class of a competition. It's not so you can delete it, but you have to know exactly what's the right order of the record deletion. So that's an important point. Don't be frustrated if it's not possible to delete it. Then you can print a competition list. That's only for this record, so it's only a selection of the competition list button. Then you have the possibility that you print a QR code with a link. That will be the link for the live view. I will select this button, then I have to wait just a few seconds until the document will be created. And then I get the document with the QR code, which you can print out and can be used by visitors and the pilots, and you will have automatically the link to the live display on the page. The same functionality is if you have the competition activated and you will be in the dashboard. You have on the top and the three buttons, and the button in the middle will display the live view. Then you have an important function, that's the check competition function. Add stuff and remove stuff I will describe in another video, because that's only important for printing result lists and certificates, for example. Check competition is will show you which records are created for a competition. Here we have a new competition. No records are created, no detail records are created, no detail informations are created, no users or no pilots are assigned. If I use this functionality, for example, for another competition, I use the other one, the ÖM-F13N, then I see there is a lot more information. I see I have currently assigned 9 competitors. I have inserted the equipment for 1 competitor. I have assigned 8 judges. I have 4 classes. I have 1 flight line, and I have 1 sponsor defined. And here I will see also the details of the classes, for example. There you will also see if there are information is missing. So there is, for example, you have defined P1, P2, P3, but there is no schedule assigned. That means that it's not defined which program will be used for this schedule or for this round. So it's a little bit of information that we will display in this check competition function to help you to see which information is missing and are still all the records you need are present. I go back to the dashboard. On the dashboard, I still see there is no competitor, no class, no judge, no staff, no flight lines. So, and the next step is I want to create a class. So I go to classes. The dashboard will do its work interactively. So you have always the possible commands be displayed. You will see if we created a class, then you have to define also a class schedule, but we always will check what the dashboard is changing, and how the dashboard is changing, and yeah. So now we create a competition class. So we create a competition class for the test competition video. We use for this example the F3C class. Then we use a name for this class. It's not necessary to use always the same name as the linked class is. You can also use it international, for example, and you have your own national competition classes. You can also add them in the settings or in the basic data menu. Then you can add a description. You have to define the start and the end. For example, here we use the 6th of May and the 7th of May. The entry fee you can use, for example, 50 euros. You also can enter 0. Will there be seniors, juniors, guests be available? There's no major functionality in the program, so it's only for your information. You can add these options or can only set the check by seniors, for example. That's makes no further sense. So then you have to define the max entries. That's a really important part because if you use the max entries, you will have in the list of registered competitors an a separation for the first, for example, I use for this competition 10 entries. So the first 10 will be in the competition, the registration is okay, and number 11 will be out of the registration. It will be displayed, but is on the waiting list. Here you can also choose allow a waiting list. If you use not to allow a waiting list, the competitors who are registering for the competition will have not set the waiting list icon. They will directly put to the registration list. Then I create this class. So, and here I have a lot of information. For example, that's what we entered. The entry fee, the max entries, the competitor numbers, the number of competitors, the number of competitors on the waiting list, the assigned judges, and the schedules. So for to start the registration process, yeah, we have no more to do. We have, for example, we have added a class. Here in the dashboard, now you see the functions of F3C. Yeah, that's here for this class. You can add a new schedule, you can add attendees, and you can add judges. Attendees always means the same as competitors, but we changed the wording. At the beginning, it always an attendee, and if you register it for a class or for example for a round or for a schedule, and then we always use the word competitors. So that's has been part of the design process. So the next step is we want to show if we can register for this competition on the main page. But here, oh yeah, the test competition video is in the registration. So now we can verify why it will be displayed. We make a check and we see we have chosen the registration start on the 1st of April and the registration end on the 16th of April. So that's in the window, and that's why the competition will be displayed on the main page. So what happens if we use the registration? Oh, that was the here you can, if you you click on registrations, you see the currently registered pilots. But we will see it in the next step. So I click on test competition, then I can register. The system is working in a special functionality. We send an email with a one-time link to the competitor, so the email address is verified, and then the registration process can start. If the pilot has already registered for a competition in this database, that's not for another competition in another database of another organization, it must be in that organization. For example, we have an organization for the European Heli Series competitions. There have been a lot of competitions last year, and if a pilot is registering for a competition this year, and he's using the same email address, he has not to enter the information of for example, his name, his address, his phone number, and so on, because he's already known by the program and he has only to confirm. So it's not always necessary to enter all the informations. You have to enter a security information. Then you go to start registration. So now he tells me the email was sent. I got the link in the background. Now I see confirm my registration because he already knows my email address and my account. So if there are more classes available for this competition, I can select for which class I want to register. It's also possible to register for more than one class, but not for one class two times, or for one class twice. So then I say update my registration. Okay, he tells me it's confirmed. So what has been changed in our dashboard? So it's really easy. We have a new point on the left side that shows me registrations. Why is it a registration and not listed at the competitors? That's really easy because if we go on the edit sign of the competitor, then we have here the mark set on the waiting list. Normally, if the waiting list is active, it's always defined a new registration as registered for on the waiting list. So you have always the separation. If you take a look on the dashboard, there are competitors. They have already been approved by you, and all the new registrations are on the section registration, and they are all set on the waiting list. So it's for a little process of your work. So it's not possible to get a registration where you have no information about. The second part is you get an email if the email is defined in the competition. And now I will choose the waiting list or change the waiting list option. Click on save. Then I got the list of the competition attendees. Then I go back to the test competition video dashboard, and now I see it's a competitor. So, but what to do if we want an already known account or a known pilot that gives me a phone call and tells me, hey, I want to register for this competition, but I have no email or it's not possible to send the email, so please set me on the list. So, okay, we go in the middle on the function add attendees. Then you got a list of all AVA label and active accounts. It's possible to set the accounts inactive. So the next step is I select the pilot, for example, Franz Stefan Burndorfer, and he says, I have a good friend, so please register my friend also. I use Peter Rettenbacher and go to add. Then the list will be updated. The list had been shortened by the two competitors that I have added, so and only the competitors that are not already assigned to the competition are listed here. So now I go back to the dashboard, and now I see I have 3 competitors for this competition, and they are all assigned to the class F3C. If I have a second class, it makes for me no change how to create this. I only create the second class, for example, F3N. I name it F3N. The dates will be the same, so I have nothing to change. The entry fee, for example, also 50. I select all the 3. I say only 5 competitors, for example. I always will also will allow a waiting list. Now I have 2 classes. For example, it must not be an F3N class. It can also be a local NAC class or a fun class, whatever you want to define. And now it will be also this class AVA label for registration. I will use the same functionality as I have registered for the test competition the first time. So that's the wrong email address. I use my email address. I have always to accept the DSG as the GPDR guidelines. So then I have to enter the security information. So he already sent an email. Then I get the same confirmation screen at the first time, but I can choose another class, for example, F3N, and then I update my registration. Now I can go back to the test competition. Oh, no, that was the wrong screen. I used the wrong link. So now here is the correct link. I see the class is F3N. At the last we have seen there have been 3 classes inside, but here are the correct display. If after the confirmation of your registration you got an email with a link, so you can in future update with this link always your profile. So it's not necessary to call the organization of the competition and tell them, please change my street, my phone number, or something else. You can always do this by yourself. So now I have reloaded the screen. Here I see Holzmann Robert F3N. The same again is also added to the waiting list. So I save that. And here I have a list of my competitors that have been assigned to the classes. Here you see 3 pilots for F3C, 1 for F3N. Here you have additional functionality. You can set random start numbers. That's here for the start number. So for example, we can do that. You see That's a function. If you want to use it, you can use it. The start number is not the start order. Yeah, that's important. So now we go back to our dashboard and we see what happens. Okay, it looks always the same as before. Now we have the 4 competitors assigned to our competition. If we go to the classes, we see here also in the middle of the screen the field competitors, or the number of competitors, and you see here 3 competitors assigned. For example, if you want to add judges, you have always to add the judges to the class, because you can choose from these judges that are assigned to a class. If you create the data for a round or for a schedule, you can choose which judges are currently serving this round. So, for example, you add 5 judges and then you add an additional judge as a reserve judge. For example, you use this and you select at the beginning of the round, or when you create the round data, which judges are serving the round. So I will add 3 judges to the F3. I use, for example, these 3 judges. Then the list refreshes and shows me only the judges which I have not already assigned to the class. Now I can also add the judges for F3N. You see here the 3 judges. Important information: if you use the live scoring entry functionality for tablets or phones, in the brackets on the end you see the code, and that's the login code for the live scoring functionality. If you have to change the layout, for example, if you have an additional or a special layout, you have to, and then you can set it here. The change between phone and tablet must be done by the judge himself. After the login, he has the button to change, to toggle between tablet and mobile phone. That's the basic creation of a competition. Now you have the possibility to get the registrations in, and you can wait with the next steps until a few days before the competition. That's only the creation of the data structure of the competition. That's how many which schedules you are flying, for example, preliminary and final, and how many rounds in the preliminary, for example, 3 or 4 preliminary rounds, and also for the final rounds. But that can also be changed on the day of the competition. That is always depending on the needed printouts you have. So if you want to do this a few days before, it's also possible, but you have it's not so easy to change the information during a competition, because it's a lot of depending data. So for the future, please create the data at the last possible time slot, and then you have the less problems as possible. Okay, so the next video will show you the details about how to run the competition, and yeah, thank you.